Well, I'm not. Okay, we're in the. We'll go in. Okay, let's call the meeting to order. It's 8:10. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and then we'll have a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day you provided for us, dear Lord. We thank you for all that you do day in and day out, dear Lord. We ask you to be with us today, guide and direct us in all that we do in our county business today. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. And I guess before we get started here, fall is here. See, the combines are rolling. So you always the farmer puts out the bulletin. Watch what you're doing on the roads now, because farmers sometimes they get to where they want to go, and a lot of things are happening at the same time, big equipment. So just be aware. Okay, is there any county personnel or public comment? But we'll start the day with. Ma'am, I'm sorry, I don't. You're with him, okay. I don't, okay. Is there none? Speak, okay. All right, if there is none, then we will move on. I would make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel and to protect the privacy of the individual with the three commissioners present, the county clerk and Austin Parker. Is there a second?
Second.
A in performance, yeah. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all opposed?
Nay.
Nay. 10 minutes?
Yeah.
10 minutes. Okay, well, it's been passed 2-1. Now, that's never happened before. Housekeeping. Can you go into executive session? 2-1? Okay, all right, okay. So we'll go for 10 minutes. We'll come back at 8:22. 3. All right, we're out of executive session. We're back into regular. And there's no binding action taken. Get these microphones oriented. Okay, we are at 8:29. We've got a Zoom presentation here at 8:30, but if you have something you want to say, does anybody want to say anything? Or are you just spectators today? Spectators? Okay, all right. Okay, well, it's 8:30. We can jump into, excuse me, Scott Lloyd with the Lloyd Group. Scott, good morning. Can you hear us?
Good morning.
Thumbs up. How are you?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Oh, we're so far so good. So we sent you, or Nikki sent you some budget numbers, some revisions last week,
Yeah.
and I guess work your magic.
Well, she should have had a copy back, Nikki. Did you get that back?
Have it.
Yeah. And so what Lauren did was on the very front page, went through and adjusted everything that you had asked to be adjusted. And it starts with the general and works down through each of the funds. The one thing that I want to make sure we are correct on is the road and bridge, where we had them broke out in districts and now we're all back into one operation again. Is that right?
That's the plan. Yes.
Okay. I think the rest of them are just adjustments that you'd asked to be made, whether it, personnel or contract services or cash at a certain point. And then once all those are changed, so what it basically comes down to, if you go to page 20, which is the publication after the publication that we have to tie together to make sure it all ties. You can always go down, which that's what our goal was here. But on page 20, the way this budget is reading now is in the fourth column from the right, you see last year's mill levy, 35.646. And the current mill levy on this proposed budget is at the very right-hand column is 41,646. So that's the 6 mills. So it went down 6 mills, went down to 6 mills from, I believe, right around 9 mills. And the only other number I didn't calculate here is the difference between, whoops. Excuse me just a minute here. 646 minus 36.174. Goodness gracious. It's Monday. Yeah. Hold on. Okay. 1,4,646. 36.174. So the difference between last year's mill levy and this year's mill levy was 6 mills. The difference between where you're at 41,646 and the revenue neutral rate is 5.472. And the reason that is because your assessed value dropped from last year to this year. So that means the tax dollar stayed the same as last year. Like we talked, when the assessed value goes down, the revenue neutral rate goes up. So that's why there's a difference between the 6 mills of last year and what the difference is between this mill levy right now and revenue neutral. Does that make sense?
The number that matters is that 5.5, right? That's the dollar that we're going up year over year. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But what happened is we had to levy 6 mills
Right.
to get the same dollars as last year. Yeah.
So I think our goal, and correct me if I'm wrong, was an acknowledgement of the increase needed, but a desire to sort of break it up into chunks. So
Yeah.
we asked for 9 and then we revised it back to asking for 5.5, give or take. Is that right?
Yeah. And it shows, like I said, on the publication that we did, so we'd tie everything together. it shows 6 mills because of the assessed value dropped. Mhm.
Okay,
Yep. Does that make sense?
yeah, you guys got a question for him? Bill?
Yeah, so since this is, everybody's getting a big increase this year on their housing. I guess I'm kind of opposed to putting all this that this maybe not the best year to build up your cash reserves.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I've been talking about, but I went through
Yep.
and took all the cash reserves out,
Yeah.
and then you could get to the revenue neutral. Without cutting the budget, I mean, just cutting out the cash reserves and not cutting, lowering anybody's budget.
So when you do that, Bill, what happens is the way the state, and I think you all kind of had this question, was why is cash reserves in the total expenditures of the 26 budget? So the way it used to be done till probably 7 years ago is you built the cash reserves and capital outlay or a certain line item in each of the budgets. And that's how you had the carryover in order to make sure you had enough money to start the next year. If we went in and cut out, and you've got these lines fairly tight in each of the budgets, and we cut out cash reserves, what would happen is we would have very little cash carryover the next year, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure we have a little bit more cash reserves, because the general fund example, we've talked about several times. Into 24, it was around 142, I think, after some adjustments, 103 originally, and then now 142 at the end of 24 with the audit. And the middle column, which is huge, is in the middle column of 25. If we spend from now till the end of the year like we were looking to spend, we would be at 22,000 of cash reserve. So that's getting very, very, very low. That's like 1 day or 2 days of expenditures in the general fund. So you can't, I mean, what would have to happen is if you cut all the cash reserves to be able to have money next year, you'd have to cut more of the line items, because what you're doing is you're going to end up spending that based on your line items that you've given us to put in here. And there'll be some that you won't spend as much as what you anticipated, and that'll help. Or from now till through next year, maybe you're looking at efficiencies and you're saying, maybe we didn't need this, or, this certain process, or certain, like you said, I think you moved the chip and seal to a 4-year rotation. So that makes a difference. But that's why the state wanted to put those cash reserves separate instead of build them into lines, because they wanted to be transparent to the people to show how much is cash and how much is the estimated expenditures. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm probably rattling a little bit here, but that's why it's that way.
I see that, but also I see that the money's sitting there, it's too easy to spend. And if we're gonna hold our government spending down,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're evidently not capable of saying no. I mean, this last week we spent $25,000 without, that we weren't
Mhm.
planning on, because it was there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's my thinking. That
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, Bill. I'm not trying to disagree with you. I just don't want to see Brown County get in a situation where they don't have cash to spend, and then cutting services, which is really the only other option. Cutting services is the way you'd have to make sure you have enough money to spend, because there's going to be, that's why I always talk about this 3 to 6 months, is because there's always going to be, I mean, even like in your own household, you always have unique expenditures come up you weren't expecting. I mean, we all do. And the county is just multiplied, because you've got all these different departments and you weren't anticipating a certain expenditure. I don't see it as when that pops up and you need that service. I don't see that as spending money that you don't want to spend. It's a need for the citizens of Brown County, or, I mean, I don't know. That's just, we could talk about that all day long. Anyway, I'll shut up.
Well, Scott, so when we went through our budget revisions, we only cut out about $100,000 of expenses that won't reoccur next year. So we
Uh-huh.
changed road and bridge, but we're not going to eliminate chip seal. I mean, we're going to do it
Okay.
again in 27. And so that
Uh-huh.
money's coming right back. I guess, if we go back to revenue neutral, which your point is, I mean, I know you have the best of intentions. I know you really do. Bill's he's trying to make this tax increase that I believe is inevitable, more palatable. We got to do it instead of taking one big bite. I mean, I think we got to take some smaller ones. But next year, unless we cut road and bridge out again, you know, we're still back to this 9 mills. I mean, it stinks, but we kind of got to have it. We can make we didn't make every cut on other stuff, but I just don't see where it exists. I mean, I don't see where the 9 mills where we cut anywhere but where we did. I mean, I can find you another mill or two and, you know, I'm pointing at the economic development folks, but,
Mhm.
you know, they're probably getting tired of coming back in here too. And, I just don't see where the money's at. I mean, it takes a certain amount of money to do business and we're not trying to be crazy. The 25,000, you know, is that our fault that the road and the contractors couldn't get there and they can't get it done and our guys are already done chip and seal? I mean, that's just a scheduling issue. You know, we had planned
Yeah.
to do it and it just didn't work out. And man, if you put what is that, $1 million road, $1.5 million road, and then don't fix the entrances, then we just, you know, you might screw it up. And I guess I
Absolutely.
didn't want to do that. But to your point, so much of the gas pedal on spending is right here. And all we have to do is say no. And we've said no quite a few times, but sometimes we struggle saying no. So I want to be consistent. You know, if we're the board of we don't spend any money, then we can't just not spend the easy money. We got to do the same thing when it gets hard. So I guess I wouldn't be in favor of cutting it back. I like your 5.5. I mean, we could play with a mill or two if we had to, maybe one in the general fund, because we're actually building some cash in some other departments.
Mhm.
But if we don't do it this year, we're going to have to do it next year. And this was a long process and it took a lot of time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears, really. And I mean, I just soon get it over with, get it behind us, and with a plan that next year we're still going to do a good job. Well, you'll be here in spirit, I guess, but we got to man up essentially and just do it and roll on.
So I know next year they just have to roll it back up to 5 mills, back up to 9, but realistically. I mean, my opinion is that 9 won't touch it next year with changes that will probably come, but. What's your thought? Is 9 gonna cover it next year? If we have to go back, I mean, we're not doing any chip and seal this year, we're cutting it out
Mhm.
completely, so. If we have a big hit on our roads, I mean, it could be. I mean, we could have roads that fall apart because they're, you know, but my thing is, I don't think 9 mills is gonna. It will be more next year, in my opinion, than 9. I think it's gonna be more on the 12 and 13, just the way things are going.
Yeah.
I'm
So
just saying-
there's a lot of factors
Last year,
there.
nobody believed me, and I said it the year before. I'm going out here now, and I'm just gonna tell you right now. It's gonna be the same next year as it is this year, no matter how we cut it. We saved for so many years and used up our cash, now we're in a problem. We have a problem. The only way we get out of it is by raising the mills. Because we were so frugal trying to stay as low mill levy as possible. I'm going back 20, 30 years. The commissioners have been, our cash is gone. We have no choice. So we decided to cut out road and bridge just to soften it a little bit, but it's gonna come back next year. There's no way around it.
Well, the timing of that works beautiful though, since we're going to do some restructuring. But it's fairly strategic, but the money we don't spend this year is money we're going to spend next year. So yeah, I mean, Rich is right. It's coming. I mean, I don't want to do 12 or 13, but
I'm just,
yeah,
I mean,
you're right. Bill?
Yeah.
Usually we have like $1 million left over to bridges through a year. And yeah, we got projects that needs to be used for. but just face the problems when they come.
But we have 3 bridges that get smoked in a storm. And we have to come up with 10% grant matches. I mean, that $1 million, I'm not an advocate for making we just need a reasonable amount of savings. It's 3 to 6 months. 6 months may be too much. 3 months is a good goal, but we're not getting there in 1 year. We're getting to about, we're $35,000 a day is what this county spends on regular business and road and bridge. So that's $1 million a month, give or take. We're going to about 45 days. We could cut or scrape and dig and find some cash. So it's a big step, but it's only halfway where I see us get to. But
But what happened to our cash? We spent it. We had cash in the past and kept spending it.
We didn't spend it, we used it to balance and keep our revenue or mill levy down, kept giving the cash back to the budget.
Because
So we could keep our mill levy down.
because we'd spent it.
Scott, I'm gonna,
It was there, I mean, the cash was there, but then we turned it back to reduce.
income didn't match expenses. You use the savings account to pay the expenses and we run out.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
right.
redirect some of these numbers. Would you help me out here? Let's, like the health department, and you probably told me this, I don't understand it still, so I'm gonna ask you again. So current year estimate for the health department, on this page 20, it's for 2025 says 65,000. Okay, that's a real number. That's what we budgeted for. But if
Yeah.
you put that thing over to the right for proposed budget year for 2026, we
Mhm.
budgeted 65,000. But I don't see that number there. How does that, can you explain to me again how that change occurs and what happened, the mechanics of that, I guess?
Okay, so if you go back to page 8, Health Department is the very top fund. It's back to what Bill's asking about, is you have cash carryover because either you don't, like, from right now till the end of 25, that middle column in this one is gonna stay 65,000. There's not gonna be any changes in that, okay? Probably, unless you would decide to, but it's gonna stay in the middle column, it's gonna stay 65. So you had 2,176 left over because of motor vehicle. You must have not, this is, I'm guessing here, I didn't go back and double check this, but if you look in the first column, you see a negative $41, first column on page 8.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you see a levy of 65,026, but no motor vehicle, okay? And the reason that is if I went back to the 23 budget, and I don't have it right here in front of me, but you must have not levied anything in the health department in 23 because there's no motor vehicle money, okay? Then you go to the middle column and you levied 63,546 because you only got 25 bucks in the top column, their middle. And now you see the motor vehicle, recreational vehicle, all that. You picked up another few $1,000s and you're at 67,151, but you're only spending out 65. Same thing happens again. We adjusted it some in the next year, but you still got the motor vehicle. And so what that difference is when you go down to 65, that's bold in the 26 column, you have $2,303 of cash in that fund. And that's what the difference is between the 67,303 and the 65,000. And you'll see that in the 26 column. I think you may have asked me this also on this, is it looks like we're spending more than what we're spending,
Yeah.
but we're not.
Okay.
Because the state of Kansas is now in the last 7 years is breaking that cash out of what your projected cash carryover will be. So next year, if you do the budget and you say, let's take the levy, we've already taken the levy down. I showed you up here in 24, we went from 65 down to 63, okay? And we're stayed at 63 this year because of if in the health fund, it's the only one, if you don't supplant or levy the same amount as last year, you actually lose on your state grants. So that's why the health fund, typically is locked at the same levy each year.
Okay.
That's the whole difference in this fund compared to all the others, okay?
The health fund, they still have the budget authority for expenditure, or we're gonna give them 65,000.
Right, absolutely.
There will be $2,303 in
Yep.
cash
Yeah.
reserve.
So like next year, when you do the 27 budget, you say, well, we've got about 4,000 in cash. Let's reduce the levy. Well, you can reduce the levy by, let's say you reduce it by 3,000 and leave 1,000 carryover just for good, make sure you have some money left over. But what's going to do then is, and this one's a little different because you're in a, is it switching? I can't remember on this one. I get them all confused. Isn't there like it used to be four count or multi-county?
It's multi-county
Yeah.
still.
Is it still multi-county? Okay,
Yeah.
I thought there was a change coming or something.
No.
Okay, so then you would have, and I'm not sure in a multi-county how that works in the amount, because you're still giving them 65,000 to the multi-county. You may not lose the state funding because you're giving them the same dollars in the multi-county. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know
No, it's
how the
fine.
state
That's
looks
fine.
at that part.
The,
Mhm.
the basic question you answered was, the number
Yeah.
doesn't say 65,000, but if you
Right.
back cash reserves out, that's where.
Yeah.
it is. I just want to
Yeah.
be able to explain it.
Yeah. So if you went down every one of those funds, they're going to be different, almost all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's what Bill's question was basically.
Okay.
In a perfect world, Bill, no inflation, no increases in any services, anything, and we kept it at revenue neutral, then maybe we would get close to not having, some cash reserve. But that's the problem is, especially the last 7 years that you kind of got you into this, is somewhere between 30 and 40% increases just on the normal services that whether it's, oil or rock or, it's hard. It's just like at home. I mean, I know you watch your dollars, which is great. But you also, in a county, you're running it for other people, and that's where it's hard. I think I got Kansas Association of Counties' attention finally last week. Bruce Cladney, the executive director, reached out to me and goes, why won't any of these counties respond to me and break out these services for like what's required and what's actually expenditures, whether it's employee benefits, personnel services. And so I wrote him a very long email and explained why you can't compare county to county. Because like, for example, if a county's got an employee benefits, all the employee benefits go through employee benefits typically. You've got some counties though that put it back to departments to see how the departments compare. And he goes, really? Oh my goodness. I don't know that he knew. I don't know that he or even the legislators, unless they've been a county commissioner or a city council member, understand the differences like that. The conversation in December at the league's annual conference about R&R and unencumbered cash is going to be really interesting, because you're not the only county that has this challenge. There's many of the counties that have this challenge.
Got one more question from
Yep.
me. It's,
Yep.
would you go to the general fund page, the
Mhm.
detail page? It's 6B.
Okay.
I'm going to point out under county commissioners, under salaries, and this is the same deal. I don't know where these numbers come from, but the proposed budget year for 2026 is the number we came up with. Okay.
Uh-huh.
If I look at this and I see current year estimate for 2025, it looks like we voted ourselves a pay increase, and we
Yeah.
actually didn't. We went the
Uh-huh.
other direction. But
Yeah.
But in 2024, I guess I don't know where that number came from, but how do you explain a current year estimate? And when I look at the commission budget from 2025, it has a salary schedule of 83,000. That right? 880, I believe it was the number. So we took it down, a few $1,000. But on that general fund page, it doesn't look like we did that. It looks like we went the other way.
So Rich, correct me if I'm wrong here, but, so Rich had those adjustments last year. And, because we were trying to get in 25, we were trying to get back to revenue neutral. So I don't know if there was an adjustment in that line item, but it's also, if you look at, I'm not sure what Rich's last day is, but that line item is going to be reduced by, let's say, 3 months of Rich's salary. Now, I don't know if someone adjusted that. I'm just throwing out what
I don't
my
think
option.
that happened. I don't think that adjustment was made.
Okay, so I'm not sure then. I'm not sure, we'd have to go back and dig it out, but that happens quite a bit. The 101, and I have to remind you, we need to know why, okay? I'm not saying we don't need to know why, but, when you look at the total, the whole middle column is 584 and you spent 872. Now, I'm not sure, Nikki and Rich and them that been here, they would know what that difference is maybe, but, I know there's some adjustments, but it's hard without digging into detail to see why those changes of, not just the personnel services, but all the other line items.
Okay. Okay, well, the reason I asked is that that was just a glaring,
Sure.
most of the other numbers, I mean, they all, to my
Mhm.
knowledge, they all match up. Just
Yep.
sort
Yep.
okay, all right. All right, that's fine. Okay, so if we can come to terms here,
Mm-hmm.
are we at the point where we can do something with this budget as far as approving it?
Yep. So you go to page 1. And you have lines down there at the bottom, says governing body. So if you look at the bottom of your, kind of that day we were talking a revenue neutral rate hearing and the budget hearing, there's a bottom portion of that says, here's the steps you go through to adopt the budget. So you would make a motion, there would be a motion made, there would be a second, and approved. And Bill, I'm not putting you on the spot here, but just to say Bill doesn't agree with this budget, which happens in other counties. So maybe you two decide this is where you feel good about, and you say, we vote it 2-1, okay? That could still happen. You adopt it, you sign the budget, even though you voted against it, you would sign the budget. And then the budget would be the final document for Nikki. And then that's what would be filed with the county clerk, Nikki, and then when she gets them all, then she'll send one to the state of Kansas. She'll keep one on record, and that will be your final budget. And that part would not be probably until October, November, when you've finalized it. Because when you set this final budget, she's going to have to go in, like what she'll do is on page 1, it says final tax rate, county clerk's use only, that last column. She will actually go in and put based on the final assessed value. So there could still be an adjustment to the assessed value. It doesn't happen too often. There could be an up or down, just because there were corrections, there were certain things that happened between June 15th and when she sets the final around October 1st, okay? And then when that's done, they would put in a mill levy based on the dollars that we have, based on that new assessed value that's finalized. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
we've met or exceeded all, requirements to engage the public, to engage the people we do business with. I mean, have we done that? I mean, we could approve this budget today.
Yes.
Even by a 2-1 margin, we've done what we needed to do.
That's right.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
Clear, so.
Absolutely. And again, I want to make sure we understand this. All that is binding in this budget, even after you sign it, all that is binding is total budget authority of each fund and the mill levy. Anything inside those budgets, let's just say, I'm trying to think of a good one, just, I don't want to step on anybody's toes here, but let's just say in the general fund, we want to, we want to, adjust, well, any of the departments. That can be changed. And, cause inside the budget, the cash carryover, the line items, maybe we missed something in one of the departments. So we would take it from cash carryover in the bottom of that 26 column and put it up into a department because maybe we missed a line item. Maybe we just for some reason missed it. That can all change when the budget's put in on January 1st of 26. Put in whatever at that point we know for sure is going to be the operating budget. And the last thing I'll tell you is from now till the end of 25, remember that is where you also make differences. You look at things and going, okay, I'm not sure we need that this year. So if you don't spend it in the middle column, the number to really watch is if you go to page 6 on the general fund and you look at the very top line. So here's what kind of shows you where you've been. The very top line is 256,794 was the beginning cash at 24. The middle column is 142,697, and the beginning of 26 is 22,290. Okay. So let's just say we get to January 1st and that number instead of 22 is 0. So see it because of maybe some expenditures you made. Or if you go down to the last line on page 6, and I told you this, I think the other day, the sales tax in 24 was 1,000,001, okay? But we've estimated 979 and kept them the same there. That's very conservative. So let's just say you collect in 25 here, and you could look at it again to kind of see where you're at. The treasury, it's always about a month or two behind. But if you look at that and you say we're already at 979, okay, or we're getting close, then you know that the last 3 months, that's going to be cash carryover into the 26 budget. And that 22 number up at the top could be 122, or it could be 222. You see what I'm saying? This next 3.5 months really sets a tone for what your 26 budget will be like. Then when you get to 27, sales tax comes in higher, like we said here in 26, then we could adjust some things to keep it. Maybe you're wanting to keep it at the 3 months if we can ever get there, keep it at the 3 months instead of worrying about 6 months. But you see how there's so many moving pieces in this budget, and it's better though to be conservative in the cash receipts, just like at home, than it is to overestimate, spend it, and then not have any money at all. Anyway, I'll shut up. But that's the number when you come to 1126, that very top column, unencumbered cash, to look at every one of your funds at 1/1 after it's been closed out at 12/31/25 and see where you're at. And what I do when I start the next year, I just write out to the side when I'm getting ready to do the next year's budget to see where we're at, because that really makes a difference on where your budget will be for 27. Okay.
In Road and Bridge, we took $1,075,000 out for a skid deal, and then not purchasing any tubes. We tentatively decided, since we're not chip sealing, we're going to cut the uncontracted rock supply. We're going to shut it down. So we should, and we do have some funds in there that are unutilized. Road and Bridge also had a section in the budget for capital outlay, and if memory serves me, I think it was $740,000 for machinery updates and for emergency bridge repair. Okay, so when we took the $1,000,000 out, $1,075,000, we lowered that. I mean, we took that out of our mill rate increase ask. That gave us that still gave us around 700,000 or 800,000 that was still going towards the chip seal program. Now, our thinking is still going to do repairs to the roads.
Yeah,
But I don't think we're gonna do 800,000 worth of patchwork, and then filling
Mhm.
in, whatever you wanna call them, the rough spots in the roads,
Right.
places that need attention.
Right.
Okay. 1,000 word question, I guess. So there's gonna be money in road and bridge, providing we don't have any, big disaster.
Right.
So our general fund still shows we're going down. Can
Uh-huh.
that money in road and bridge, can we latch onto that and put it somewhere else if we need it?
So once you levy it in any fund, you can't transfer to another fund.
Okay,
So the way that you recapture that money is every year you look at where the cash is and say, let's reduce the levy in the road and bridge fund, or vice versa, reduce it in the general and put it in the other fund that's needing the money.
so
Okay.
do you see any red flags here where we're gonna build, should be a fairly substantial cash reserve in road and bridge, but we're still operating pretty thin on general? Should we be doing some mill swaps that way?
No, because if you look on page 7 on the road and bridge fund, we talked about this the other day, but again, at the very top of column 26, you see 851, 634 on the very right-hand column of 26. Unencumbered cash, you see that?
What page are you on again?
Page 7. It's the road and bridges first page.
I'm sorry, wrong page. Yes, I see it.
Okay. So just what you described. You've got 851 starting the year. You've got some money that, may change, may not spend. You look on the next page, 7A, we're projecting that we have 511, 512 as the ending cash after your 26 expenditures. So that's about 2 mils. And you get to the beginning of 1/1/26, and that 851 is maybe, it could be up or down, whichever way it is. That's going to adjust the amount of money you have in 26 to spend. And then if you save some money, that 511 could go to 711, or it could go the other way. It could go to 311 because you had some, a bridge maybe that you weren't expecting, or, whatever. But that's the key here, this fund. And then if we get in 27's budget and we say, let's just say it went up from 511, let's just say we captured half of that 800,000 you're talking about, we would be at 911. That would be just about where we were at 2 years ago in the start of the road and bridge on page 7, 920,946. So you kind of look at history. You look at how much unknowns, Bill made a good point, is you had a $25,000 expenditure and you weren't expecting. But what if that expenditure had been 250,000? How do we pay for that 250,000? The only way you can pay for that 250,000, if you don't have it in road and bridge and you don't have it in what's called special machinery that's you've transferred over for buying equipment, you would have to go to the general fund, and the general fund then would have to pay for it. So that's why the general fund should be probably your most healthy fund. And then these other funds are money that you're going to spend exactly for projects you've got, because if you levy in those other funds, you have to stay in those funds. But if you make the levy in the general fund, you have additional money that, if, like I told you, Osage County about 5 years ago ran out of money in employee benefits because they had a lot of things happen, and they had to come up with $729,000 between September and the end of the year. And that's why your general fund has to be healthy. So that's where you balance it each year. You look at your general fund, trying to get it healthier, and it's been pretty hard. And you look at the other funds and try to make sure you're covering the projects that you need, because once you levy there, you can't switch it to other funds.
Okay. That, makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. still Road and Bridge, the way it's set up is sort of an enigma because we see our Road and Bridge all funds, cash and budget number here for the 3 districts.
Yeah,
The total, but we do have some expenses, some projects that we've committed that we haven't funded. But
uh-huh.
But we also have yard capital. Put away for some of the project.
right, but I don't think it shows up in that number.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. So
No, it doesn't.
not quite right. But so where the question I'm asking then, so next year we've got road and bridge budget with a planned capital outlay of 740,000. If we
Mhm.
are judicious with our money and we don't have any emergencies and we don't have to spend it, it looks like we're spending that on the budget, but
Yeah,
we're actually not.
that's right.
Okay, so then if we actually don't, we can't really utilize that next budget year, but we can in 27. We can sort of plan for that
That's right.
and maybe not tax so heavily in road and bridge, and then we can take their share down and then maybe
Mhm.
feed the general fund a little
Yeah,
higher rate. Does that make sense?
absolutely.
Okay, all right. Well, I think we're on the same page. Okay.
So to Bill's question, just quickly before I get off here, 16 is where capital improvements at. Capital improvement only has to show actual, which is the 24 year. I go on and put it in 25 and 26. So probably what needs, I think it's on your radar screen, but in 25, the middle column on page 16 at the bottom, there's no expenditures showing in the 25 year. Because what we do is even though we don't need budget authority in the capital improvement, we always carry it over to the 26 to give you full budget authority. So it's showing 2,471,000. And what happens in most of these funds, there'll be times when the middle column looks like it has no expenditures, but we're trying to up the income, the capital expenditures in the 26 budget, so you don't have to go back and amend it. Now, this one you wouldn't have to amend because it gives you, in a road project, a lot of times, or any kind of a bigger project, you may have it, you're thinking you're going to spend it by the end of this year, but you actually don't spend it till next year. So the reason I do that on these funds is to give you full budget authority in the current year and full budget authority in the 26 year. And that's why it looks like you're spending 2.4 in 26 in this one. Okay. But you'll actually, I think you've got one bill, I think, in some of his projects, 1.1 million maybe, that's going to be spent out of that fund. So that'll get it down to about 1.2 million or 1.3 million, I think you said. And I may have them confused there, but I think that's what you told me.
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot of moving pieces.
All right. So our next step then, really as a board, and I guess you have somewhere else to be. There's nothing else you'd like to, or do you think we need to know before we do an up or down on the budget?
No, I don't. I think you've got right at 5.5 mils over revenue neutral, 6 mils over last year, and you should make some headway, towards getting some cash reserves. I wish the legislature would understand that. See, I don't think they understand. That's the one piece that Bruce and I was talking about. It's really cool to say, well, we're keeping our taxes the same, but to not ever look at unencumbered cash to see where that's at based on whether it's inflation or certain mandates. See, that's another thing we've not really talked about much. But if you look at the last, since 1990, when the 89, when reappraisal came in, that was really the first big mandate. Oh yeah, we're going to pay for reappraisal in counties across the state of Kansas. That lasted 1 year. And then all the counties had to pay for their own reappraisal. It's going to happen here with the revenue neutral. That's the last year you're funded for those mailers that go out on July 20th. It just happens all the time. They give you a mandate, but they don't give you any money. So it's not only inflation, it's also mandates that all of a sudden you're required to pay for, and it's a federal or state law. So we didn't talk about that much, but that's happened a bunch over the years. So, it is what it is. You make the best decision you can, and then we'll tackle again next year. Last thing I'd like to say before I get off is, Rich, thank you for all your knowledge. History, 6 years of history really helps. And Nikki's been there a while too. that's one thing in a lot of these counties I'm working on, most of the people are new. And so what happens is you don't have that history. So Rich did just his one sheet last year. He did a great job of breaking all that out. And that's something to be aware of going forward is as you look at it. I think you all have learned a bunch this year, and I've learned a bunch, and appreciate the opportunity to work for you. And we'll see where it goes from here. Okay.
All right, well, thank you very much. I guess we do have you on for next year. You're a line item in our commission budget, so we'll still be working together. If you ever see any, I mean, feel free to get a hold of us, really.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Your expertise has been invaluable and you kind of guided us through a process which is fairly dark and murky, but we are emerging through it. And I think we've come up with something that's at least better than it could have been. So
Yeah.
appreciate your help.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And
All right.
Lauren, I have to give credit to Lauren. Lauren's the number cruncher behind. So her and Nikki have worked together a lot. So
I will
appreciate
tell
that.
you, I've never interacted with her. She's a mysterious person that I guess I've never met. So, but
I'll just tell you in this funny story. So most of these people that work for me were interns with me at the big firm, and they wanted to come back and work for me. We have all of us have, they're all 20s and 30s mostly. There's a couple 40s, but Lauren is in Denver, Colorado. Okay. And she's remote. And Lauren saw an ad as a senior in high school graduating that Swindle Jansen Hawk and Lloyd was going to hire a person of, I don't remember what it was. It's like audit something. Well, you don't come out of high school, but her mom told her to go down and talk to him. And so Chet, the managing partner, says, go talk to Scott. From the very get-go, she came to work right out of high school. She went through and got her, she got her 4-year degree in 3 years. She went to K-State, got her master's. In the meantime, while she was at the 3-year school at Mac, she ran the marathon and got 15th in the nation in NAIA, okay? And never had run the marathon before. So that's the type of person that we're dealing with here. I love to work with her because she is, she's just a go-getter. She's got 2 kids now, and that's why sometimes it's a challenge to get it done. But Lauren and I go way back. She's probably worked for me now for 10 years. And so, yeah, it'd be good to meet her sometime. Maybe on a Zoom or something. We could all get on.
sounds intimidating. Anybody can run a marathon.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't run a marathon. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, thanks again. And you have a great rest of the day.
So just one more thing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I think I learned a lot more this year than I have in the last years. Where the money comes from and all
Yeah,
that. So I appreciate what you taught us.
Well, thank you, Bill. That means a lot coming for you. Cause I understand my grandma and grandpa, grew up out of the Depression, and they were born in the early 1900s. And I'd go out to grandma's, on my dad's side, and she'd have these I don't mean this bad, but she'd have these holy sweaters, and they worked 7 days a week. They were oil pumpers, and so I grew up in a very, very rural, poor area. And so I understand what it takes to, get by. Now, I've always been very blessed. My dad was a banker, but I respect that, Bill, and I respect all your opinions. My job here is to give the best perspective I can of what it looks like now and in the future. And I don't have a crystal ball, but I do appreciate the opportunity to interact with everybody. I learned something from everybody. I learned something from each one of you this time. And I think that's the coolest thing about this job. That's why I'm still doing it, because I love to do that. I love to learn. I love to get things done and help people out. And without bragging here, that's why these kids follow me around, and want to do this, because we all learn every day. And if we ever stop learning, we might as well give it up. So.
All right, right on. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Have a great day.
You too.
See y'all.
I guess we'll just go right down the list then. Sound good? Go through the agenda. What do you think? What do you guys think? Rich, you're the seasoned veteran. He says you are 6 years of experience. Just go through this and we'll tackle the budget stuff. That'd be fun. Okay, all right. Well, the first item on our agenda then is the minutes from the last week's meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, or comments to those minutes as presented?
Dr. Parker here last week.
We talked about he could potentially zoom in, but he didn't. That's all right. That's all right. So I guess we discussed the potential contract with Austin Parker. Just a minor clarification in the minutes. Any other? That's all you have? Okay, is there a motion to accept the minutes with the correction? I'll move, we accept the minutes with the correction. Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, minutes, motion carried, minutes passed. Let's move on to payroll from September 3rd. Are there any questions or comments here?
Times. Like, to know what it was for, and how many people they saw, and how many, or what he did with that, with that. So, on attorneys. Other pay,
We're getting there.
well, some did other times, but I'd like to know about they weren't. I don't know.
Overtime pay. Other pay. Okay, other pay. So you want to move on then? Do we get that question answered? Okay, and she's doing it now. All right. We'll know here directly. You guys want to be nominated for Kate? No? No? It's a overtime pay. She said other pay. Yeah.
It'd be good to have a list of them. What cases did he bite?
Are we privy to that or can we be?
Sure, he could tell us something. How many hours you put in.
To my knowledge, it's usually, if I understand it right, it's just a. Basically, doesn't really have much detail. We had something in. So this was the one that you caught. That you noticed out of diverting a few months ago. And so we don't have anything So I scroll through here, nothing's coming out of diversion again, so now it's coming out of.
Two appeal cases,
Two appeals cases.
whereas with you transcript and prepare for.
So where does that money to fund that, where did that come out of? If it didn't come out of diversion like it had in the. That is, but. Okay.
So that come under regular duty, so.
I think so, yeah. Just the last time it was funded, the same thing was funded through diversion. So this time it was funded through his budget. And I would gather he would have enough room in his budget to do that, else he wouldn't have done it, right? I would hope so, is the answer I was looking for too. So, I guess without going into too much detail, has he been around or is he back? No, okay. Okay. Good. Fair enough.
Okay.
Any more questions, Bill?
So, the planning commission had just a small amount, but it was from Column Software. And it's,
I won't go. We want to go at,
okay, so that's how, they're the high water world.
well, that's how you have to pay for the legal ad.
Okay, so I'm certain that,
Okay, so we're on payroll. Well, I mean, is that, are you going to accounts payable?
yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I got off.
That's all right, that's all right. It's been a long meeting already, so. Okay, so you got your questions answered on payroll. Is that right? Everybody good? Anyone want to make a motion to approve the payroll from September 3rd of 2025? Who wants to on payroll? Did you want to explain, or I mean, what was, why not?
Will we accept it?
Are you sure? I don't want you to.
I don't think we're gonna change it so hard. But just in the future, I think those are the kind of things we need to keep a close eye on. To get this spinning down.
Are you referencing the appeals that the attorney?
Yes, I'm gonna approve the payroll.
Okay, it's been moved. We approve. Is there a second? I'll second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, we all did at the same time. Motion carried. All right, next, item number 3 is accounts payable from the 8th of September. Are there any questions or comments on this? Bill, you had one that was a Hiawatha World
Yeah.
ad.
Yep.
Yes,
Thing to be neat. No, we don't see the Hiawatha World from Texas.
were you used to seeing the Cherry Road? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Uh, Anything else? I'm starting to get the hang of this. Some of the questions I had, like under sheriff's department. You know, that's a lot, it looks like tires. I mean, at $1,200, they're buying tires at Hiawatha Tire and Boot. So, I mean, we're just looking for numbers that seem out of the ordinary and numbers that are larger than usual. And I didn't see any this time. Did you see any? Did you see any?
No, good.
Okay, is there a motion to approve accounts payable then from September 8th for today? Okay, is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Motion carried. All right, we're hammering away. Next on the agenda is the K-Camp nomination form. This is information. Yes. in case anyone would like to be nominated to serve on the K Camp Board of Trustees. Looks like to have a few up for reelection. And if anyone so desired on this board, if I understand it right, you could be nominated. I do not wish to be nominated. Bill, do you? Rich? No. No? All right, firm no. Okay, we will move on. So K Camp is who we deal with. We had a really nice training with them in January, kind of helped onboard new commissioners. We all were there. And it serves as a pretty good resource for the commission. They have an attorney assist, which we use a lot, or I use a lot, talking to them about HR stuff or just business. We also have a lot of our insurance comes through, they call it K Camp contributions. Contribution is just a fancy word for insurance premium, and because it's a big number, $200,000, but that's the insurance on all the buildings and property, rolling stock, things like that. Just FYI. Okay, end of month reports. This cash and budget summary. Rescue Squad hasn't spent any money. They're doing really well. Is there any questions or comments about this? And Road and Bridge? No, just informational, just trying to see where the departments are at, how much money they have left in their budget. This was good through the end of August. And most departments, that would be, yeah, most departments are right in line. Except for like the fair spent it all, so they got nothing left, but that's to be expected. Okay, moving on. You ready? All right, the next is the proposed budget. So I'm looking at page 1 here. This. Okay, so the budget, we spent quite a bit of time as a group with the clerk. Well, every time as a group with the clerk, he always has to be there when we're in the room together. I think we spent a lot of time with the public. I took a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, this budget. I mean, we knew we were in a pickle and I think we did pretty well trying to get where we are. Now, we're not all in agreement on the whole thing. I know that there's some spots where we differ, but we sort of had a gentleman's agreement. And you're free to do what you want. I'm just trying to lay this out, my understanding. We had a gentleman's agreement that if we didn't agree on something when we were meeting about it, and I asked, is that going to throw a wrench in approving the whole budget? And to my knowledge, the only one we had, and I thought we worked through it, was the commissioner side with basically building maintenance fund, which is, essentially just laying some money back in case something that needs to be worked on at the bill. Am I wrong? Was there other things that was the only one with the asterisk on my sheet? But if I'm wrong, speak now or hold your for everyone.
Well, when I went through and, I got those things like that.
So are you inclined not to, you not want to reveal how you vote? Because
Well, yeah, I'm fine enough to vote.
not to vote for it? Okay. So we did this before and you voted against going over revenue neutral, which is fine. That's totally what you're here to do. But I thought we were trying to work through this with a plan. And if your plan is to eliminate cash, I guess that's a plan. And it's fine.
And that didn't take, that left everybody with what we decided budgets. I didn't take anything out of their budget except cash.
Well, like the general, if we went from 16.5 and we go to 13.3, and I mean, Bill, I could be completely wrong, but if I understand it in the general, the unencumbered cash, we've only got 22,000 at the end of this year.
But do we need to put $700,000 back in?
But we're not, because we're still going. excuse me, let me look at the numbers so I do it right. Let me look at the numbers. Okay, so current year estimate, unencumbered cash balance, January 1. And this is the current year estimate for 2025. So Nikki, was that January 1 of 2025, or does that mean the end of the year of 2025? I mean, I'm looking now, I'm on page 6, general fund, unencumbered cash balance, January 1, first line item. So that number is right. We had 142,000 on January 1 of this year. Okay, so let's, so on January 1 of 2026. So I guess what I'm trying to explain is the general fund doesn't have any cash. If we pull it out, there's 3 mills that you pulled out there that we don't have to give. The way everything's currently constituted, we just don't, it just doesn't exist. The 3 mills just basically patches the gap, patches the hole. Is that the way you read it, or am I wrong?
No, I understand what you're saying there.
Okay.
On that.
Okay, and so Road and Bridge, if we take that down and we pull their cash out, in actuality, some of that cash is cash that you used to plug the hole in the year past. So, I mean, we could do this. I mean, you can vote that way and you do whatever you want, but in the end, I mean, we are essentially voting to. We'd be in the hole. Right?
Correct.
We'd be in the hole.
You don't see it that way, but
Well, I think the math works out that we just would be, you know?
Well, we would not have enough money to go for the year. We would probably be shut down partway through the year next year.
Well,
We could make it up with Road and Bridge is what you'd have to do, but now they couldn't do anything. And they probably just sort of shut them down. You would get down bare minimum. Absolutely. So anyway, I'm not inclined to go that way, and I don't think the math works like you want it to.
all these things in the budget are funded. But $4,874,000 in the general fund. All those was should have that much money coming in, not more than that, but that much.
Where are you looking at now? You're on the same page still, 6A? 6A.
None of these numbers are cut. Only this number down here. That's check out. Where it says cash reserve, that's the only we can get. All the other numbers are funded.
Then how do you reconcile that? Unencumbered cash balance of 22,290.
Starting over. Oh. Let's see, right,
I just went up a page, was just trying to.
but that's what we got coming this year. That's what's supposed to come from this, from leftover from this year to forward to next year. So that, I'm not sure we got the, I think that's if every department spent everything they had.
But in this budget, when I walk through this, when I walk down here, I know what we did on the county commissioner. We've got 114,000 in that building fund. So I know that exists. So that's part of your 731. The county clerk, that office isn't building anything. The treasurer's not, the counselor not, registered deeds isn't. Now the sheriff's isn't on any of their 3. The janitor's not. Emergency prep isn't. Rescue squad isn't. The court system we approved, I mean, they're not. Computers not. Fair premiums aren't, industrial development's not. So we get this subtotal and we're, you know, where's that cash? I mean, I see what you're saying.
So I'm not opposed to having some ahead, set ahead, but I don't think this year when everybody's got hit pretty hard on their housing values, that it's a time to increase and build up our reserve.
Okay, so
This probably this year, or because, well, it's like I said, if you got the money there, it's too easy to spend it. Okay.
and that's where we come in. So this year, it took 9 mills to tread water. And actually go back just a touch, took 9 mills. Now some of that's monkey business because, you know, you've got some of that capital outlay in road and bridge. But that's money. I mean, if we have one storm, you know, that we could spend that faster than you can really complain. Okay, so
Some bridges have to be closed for a while. I mean, that's,
well, then we'll get into kind of a fundamental disagreement here because I think people, I've never heard, I mean, I've heard some ideas about road and bridge, but that's one of the basic functions of government is to keep road and bridges open. Okay, so we asked for 9 to tread water. And instead of going for 9, we're trying for 5.5 to split the gap. So I understand.
I appreciate that better than mine, true.
I understand. And then we working with road and bridge to change some things, you know, now I'm pointing to you because that's some of your idea to try and limit some spending, reorganize, and maybe we have a chance next year to do something. But if we go, instead of maybe next year, we have a chance to make some more cuts. If we don't do it today, I mean, you just sign this thing, we can revenue neutral, say, well, we're gonna be borrowing money, to close a year out. Plus next year, guys, in the county, we're gonna jack your taxes up 10, 11 mils, and then we don't have any room. I mean, then you're up against it. I mean, I feel like we're up against it now, and by being creative, I mean, and really, I mean, we put a lot of time in on this budget, and some of it's because we ask a lot of questions over and over again, because it's hard to get it. But I mean, I really think we've about done as good as we can do. We didn't cut it in half of what we wanted, but we almost did. And next year, I think Rich is right. I mean, I would argue maybe not 12 or whatever. I bet we got to get to 9 somehow. We're going to have to get 3.5. Maybe we can do it with 3. Maybe, Bill, we see at the end of the year, you're absolutely right. We've built cash in general, cash in road and bridge, and then we might have, you know, $1.5 million, $2 or $2 million. And you say, well, maybe that's enough. Maybe we can back $1 million or $2 million. But I just don't think we can do it. But you've got to vote your conscience. I respect you. You ask a lot of good questions. You put a lot of thought in. Your desire is to do this with as little money as possible. And I mean, I think that's admirable. I just have a little different outlook, and Rich may have one too. I mean, Rich has a different outlook than both of us have.
That's right.
We get along pretty well for being as different as we are.
I will just say that I would, before we take up the vote on this, I want to work through the rest of the stuff that we have to deal with first.
That's fair.
Before,
No, that's right.
but right now, I would support it right now until I know what the other half of everything looks like.
There's experience coming in. So we do have some housekeeping we need to take care of. Some other things before we do the budget. But what I guess I just wanted to give you an opportunity to speak to Mom.
Yeah. So. Sure. This is my opinion, this is what I think. The motto for our country is, in God we trust, soar. And sermon I had yesterday, I listened to, was about the calm in the winds. Are we gonna trust God for our, to get us through, or are we gonna depend on a lot of carryover? So, I mean, we're getting a coward when we don't trust God. So, I always thought before that, no, you could not stay with revenue neutral. That was impossible. But I don't think we need to go too far over. And so these numbers here, it comes out still over revenue neutral. Or it's less than, so if you just went with a revenue neutral, you'd still come up with $90,000 more than what to put back into these things. It's not $1 million.
So Bill, I'm just gonna state this to you. So if you just said you didn't think we could do it for revenue neutral. You voted so we wouldn't. I mean, if What if I'd have voted that
Well,
way? We'd have been
that-
stuck.
That's year after year, but for 1 year, I think you can do that.
Okay, I mean, and that's fine. That's fine and fair and I'm glad you put a lot of thought and prayer into it because this is serious business. We are affecting other people's lives. I would expect you to put that kind of time and prayer into.
Right. Everybody has good years and bad years, and I think this has not been a good year for the taxpayers. So I think we can do the best we can do.
Understood. Okay. You have anything else?
Other than just fun.
All right, okay. Well, Rich, did you?
No, so.
Okay, let's, tell me how you want to handle it. Then you want to go in and take a little recess here. I wouldn't mind getting a drink of water. But we need to reach out. Do we need to have a little?
Yeah.
I-
Before a recess and back and
Yeah.
go into our executive session.
Okay, all right. Let's take a 5-minute recess. We'll reconvene at 9:50, give or take. Is there a motion to recess for 5 minutes?
So move.
Okay, is there a second? Move and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. We'll come back about 10:10. Doing all right?
Yeah.
I think you're doing well.
Bill, for what it's worth, I like what you're saying.
Right?
I like what you're saying.
Thank you.
What, about what we got.
We ran out of money. Everybody throw in a vote?
You're gonna guard.
Yeah.
Fine.
Been over 20.
I'm gonna say.
There's been our revenue, not just all, what
Don't worry about that.
All right, we're back. Okay. Come out of recess. We'll start regular session here again at 9:50. Okay. I would call for a 10-15 minute. But just the commissioners, just the commissioners from this point on, okay? Then I guess you want to make a motion,
Make motion, you want 10 or 15, just what,
wherever you think.
so 10 minutes with just the 3 commissioners or non-elected personnel. Or I didn't state that earlier,
Pay and performance.
paying for it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carried. We'll go over to just 15.
10.
Basically 10:01, just the 3 commissioners in the room.